Hey, what's up, guys? Chris Stolly and Kristen Stovall here for the very special Realm of the Mist podcast.
Hello, everyone.
As you can tell from the intro, this one is Game of Thrones. Yes, the only people in Realm of the Mist that are Game of Thrones fans are myself and Kristen.
Yep.
So, we're the only ones that can review it.
This last season is really more Game of Groans, but...
We're about to jump into that. So, as everybody is probably well aware, especially even if you're not a fan, you've seen it all over social media, the final episode of A Game of Thrones has aired this past Sunday. I forget what the title of the episode was.
I didn't even pay attention to what the title was because it was disappointing.
Absolutely. Well, let's go into it. Okay, it's disappointing. What about the episode disappointed you?
Well, basically, it was just one long epilogue. Like, that was it. It was just one long epilogue. We had, like, a little bit in the beginning, but most of it, an epilogue. It really could have been done so much better.
All right, well, before we go into specifics and details, let me go ahead and play this.
Oh, you fucking twat.
Our little spoiler just to warn everybody that if you have not seen the episode, you probably don't even care about Game of Thrones. Because everybody watched the series finale. But just in case, I observed the niceties.
Right.
Well, let's break it down to its essentials. In the beginning, when we come into the episode, we see the long march with Tyrion and Jon and Davos going through the aftermath destruction that Daenerys had done on King's Landing.
Right.
This I liked.
I thought the beginning was decently strong. It was just after they got past the first little tiny bit.
Trust me, it derails. It derails like Fan 4-stick derails. It really does. But, I mean, then Tyrion decides to break off from the group. He wants to go see if Jaime and Cersei escaped the carnage in the Red Keep. Breaking it down, he makes it down into the Dragon Dungeons and discovers the bodies of Jaime and Cersei, which, quite honestly, I'm still pissed about in the last episode because, one, it was a complete kill of Jaime Lannister's character to all of a sudden just haul ass back to Cersei.
Well, that was the theme of the entire season, was undo all of the character arcs and development. That was just what they did the whole season.
They pretty much was. And quite honestly, after all the bad shit Cersei has done throughout the 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, she deserved better than a castle falling on her head.
Or worse, rather.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah. I wanted like Arya to stab her through the eye or something, Even the
actress who plays her wanted a better death for her.
I did like one thing about that, though, and of course this is last week's episode, not the finale, but
right.
I did like right at the end she broke.
Yeah.
She broke and she actually cried and pleaded for her life and was scared. Yeah, she became human for a second.
Right.
Instead of the cold-hearted, bitch
monster that she is. Yeah. Yeah.
So I did like that, but that was about the only thing of that arc that I liked.
Right. Well, and I mean, she was just sort of like, she was a footnote in the last season. Like, she was in barely any of it. It just, there were so many characters that just seemed like footnotes to me. Like, they weren't really a part of it. We have them in the few token episodes, and then that's it. Then they're, Then we go back to assassinating character development throughout the entire series.
Well, I do like after he discovers his brother and sister, and he cries for him because Tyrion never carried the hate that Cersei did. So he cried for both of them. Of course, he cried more for Jaime.
Right, right.
But he never hated his sister. He pleaded with her to change.
Right, yeah.
So I felt that was strong.
But can we acknowledge that bodies that had been crushed under bricks would not be as pretty as those bodies were?
No, but they wanted us to know that was them.
Right. I mean, I highly doubt he would have ever found them either, but like, yeah, they were buried under a castle. You're not finding them. They're under a castle.
Right. And then we cut from there to Jon stumbling across Grey Worm getting ready to assassinate Lannister prisoners.
Yeah.
Now, this set up something for me that I was extremely excited for. I thought the final battle, because I felt there had to be a final battle. Mm-hmm. And I felt the final battle would be the kingdoms of Westeros versus the Unsullied and Dothraki.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly when somebody destroys Dany.
We already did the spoiler warning.
True, but I'm talking about like at that moment, like at the breakdown,
right.
We didn't know when Dany was going to die or who killed her. So right there when they readily drew swords on each other and spears simply because Jon touched Grey Worm's arm.
Yeah.
I was like, there's some tension here that's filling to explode. It's going to be the expulsion of Dany's army is the final big battle.
Yeah, I didn't think there'd be a big battle. I figured they had done the Battle of Winterfell and they did a dragon burning an entire city. I didn't think we were going to get a big battle. But I was not expecting that at all.
Overall, one of the things I did like about this episode is that you're right. They Game of Thrones it in the sense of like it went back to politics and
right.
Crappy intrigue, but intrigue nonetheless.
Yeah.
But the one thing I didn't like is it just felt like an episode of Game of Thrones instead of this is it. This is the last time we're going to see these characters.
I think honestly this episode the problem wasn't what happened in this final season or in the finale, it was how it was done. Everything could have stayed the same if they had just done a proper job of building up to it and developing it and not forcing it to happen so fast. Everything could have worked if they'd just taken their time and really let it happen. And I have heard, I've not gone on and confirmed this, that HBO had offered them more episodes for the season. They turned it down. The two main showrunners turned it down. They got their Star Wars trilogy deal. They checked out. They checked out before the season even started.
Well, to be fair, too, they now bow to their mouse overlord. I'm sure they're under time constraint. But at the same time, I agree with you. I absolutely agree that there should have been more. And I said that last season, too. There should have been more. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, every season of Game of Thrones is 10 episodes anyway, except for 7 and 8. But, 7 and 8, combine them together into one season and give us a season 8 with 10 more episodes.
Yeah.
And that way you can flesh out where everything's going. Dany's quick turn to Tyrant. Jamie's relapse back into being the guy who pushed fucking Bran Stark out of a window in season 1 instead of all the good man shit he did leading all the way up to the final episode.
It really just, I know that they got the basically cliff notes of what George R.R. Martin was going to do, and I feel like that's pretty much all they wrote. It was just the cliff notes.
Well, I've been seeing a lot online that Martin is saying that now his book is going to be different, I guess because of the backlash of the episode.
Really?
But I don't know. It could be the fact that he did make it the same, or maybe, the show creator said, fuck George, we'll do our way.
Right.
Or maybe he used that's why we haven't seen book 6 yet. He's already got it ready to go, but he wanted to see how the story would play out, and it's like, oh, nope, never mind.
Okay. Nope, don't kill me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I could be honest with you, like, getting back to the breakdown of the episode, we follow Jon afterwards to the steps of the Red Keep, And Dany is Hitlering it out with the Dothraki and Unsullied, which, by the way, how the hell was there so many Unsullied and Dothraki? I thought they were decimated at the Battle of Winterfell.
I don't know. They're resilient, apparently.
There was a lot of Dothraki and Unsullied.
Right? They just all of a sudden were back with a vengeance.
Somebody didn't count their extras, apparently.
Apparently not.
and then we have Tyrion show up behind Dany, and Dany turns around and lets him know that she knows that he helped his brother get into the castle to try to rescue Cersei, and that Tyrion was basically guilty of treason.
Yeah.
To which Tyrion responded, and you massacred a whole city.
Yeah, he burned down a city. The one positive thing I will say, well, there is one other thing I did really like about the episode. The one thing that I would say about the episode as a whole is cinematography, or in terms of cinematography, it was beautiful.
Oh,
It was visually stunning. There was one moment in particular that really got me, where Dany's walking in and the dragon lands behind her, and the dragon wings unfurl behind her, and it looks like her wings.
Yeah.
That was cinematically gorgeous.
Well, that's one thing about this
really
season.
Beautiful.
That was one thing about this season. I mean, again, going back to a previous episode, when they killed Varys, as much as I hated the fact that they killed Varys, and as much as I hated the fact that it was just a quick way to get rid of him, I love the cinematography of it being so dark, and then Drogon just appears completely out of blackness, right above Dany.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, in a really horrendous way, but just visually it was stunning.
No, absolutely.
But that whole thing with Varys as well, he was actually trying to poison her. There's a whole discussion he has with this kid about how he's trying to poison her. That whole thing with Varys should have taken place over at least half of an episode. At least. It should have been done over 1 to 2 episodes where you're seeing him maneuver. The whole season suffered from rush, from not being given the weight it should have been given.
And quite honestly, there was a lot of things unanswered. Like, they paid particular attention during the time that he was being arrested, that they were coming to arrest Varys. And he specifically took off those 2 rings. And the camera followed it. I wanted to know what that was about. Yeah, I wanted to know what that was about. Is that something to deal with his personal life, like his past? Or is it he's hiding something because it's supposed to go to another character?
Yeah, was it like his way of trying to continue his plan beyond death, Just passing information on to someone else. It was a really odd thing to follow that with the camera and then have it seemingly mean nothing.
Not seemingly, it meant nothing.
Yeah.
Because it was never focused on again. Not one mention of those rings or
No,
anybody searching his quarters or anything else. He's dead. Right. He's gone. Move on.
Yeah, like within the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just threw the character away. It just was such a senseless... I feel like any main character who dies in the last season of this show, who has literally survived every other season, any main character who dies at this point deserves a big death. Deserves, like, give that moment some weight. Make it big. And it just, so many times it fell short.
Now, we do reach the part of the episode that, you know, before the episode began, I said, I need a big wow moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I need from this episode, is I need a Game of Thrones wow moment. I need the burning a kid at the stake moment, or you know, Tyrion killing Tywin on the privy moment, or the red wedding moment where you just sit there stunned.
And I read an interview that said there was going to be something in this season that was as bad as the Red Wedding. And for the life of me, I don't know what it was supposed to be. Maybe everybody in the crypts, but that was really not even close.
That was the dumbest idea on the planet. You're facing a guy who can raise the dead. Let's put our women, children, and elderly in with the dead.
I know. I'm sitting here watching this the whole time they're talking. I'm like, Okay, they know he raises people from the dead. They have seen him do this with people and a dragon. Why do they think that's a good plan?
But we get to the part of the episode that gave me my wow moment. I gasped because I couldn't believe it happened so soon.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I never thought it would be him. But we get Danny and John alone before the Iron Throne.
Mm-hmm.
To which right before, to set up the scene, right before John had visited Tyrion in the dungeons, when Danny arrested him for treason. And Tyrion had told John that he was wrong, he was mistaken, and the only person that's rightful for the throne and the only person who could stop Danny's tyranny was John. And, of course, John being a pussy-whip bitch, oh, she's my queen, she's my queen, I can't
Yeah, he was
it.
worried about honor. Well, this was one thing, and I pointed this out to the person I was watching it with. He was very much faced with a similar situation that Ned was faced with in the very, very beginning. So I did appreciate the secular motion of that, and that Ned Stark was faced with choosing his honor or basically doing what had to be done. Right. And he chose his honor and lost his head because of it.
Right. And so, you know, and then Danny turns around and really Hitlers it up, talking about how she wants to make a perfect utopian world.
Right. And she knows what's good.
And she knows what's good, and John knows what's good, but
other people don't get a choice. They're wrong.
Other people don't get a choice, right. And so then she turns around and wants to try to get some nookie from John. Be with me, we rule together, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And they kiss.
Which I was like, oh, fuck, again? You know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hear slink.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny drops to the floor, blood pouring out of her, or dribbling out of her mouth and nose. Dead. Yeah. This happened 20 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
And I sat there going, well, fuck, what happens now? Surely the Unsullied battle's going to come from this.
Yeah. I felt like that, her death right there, it wasn't a wow moment to me. I felt like it was just it felt too low-key to me. The bigger wow moment for me was when the dragon burned the throne. Like when he melted the throne.
Right. That
was very symbolic. But the whole episode was just sort of underwhelming. It was underwhelming.
That was where, you know, my wow factor began and ended with this episode. Okay, because I was thrilled with Danny's death, and I said, good, they did this, so there's got to be something to wrap up the rest of the episode, to really, if this is already happening, something big's got to be coming. No. You know, again, that's what reaffirmed me that there was going to be a big fight or whatever. Right. And of course, Drogon shows up and realizes that Danny's dead, and for some reason decides to attack the Iron Throne and melts it to a cinder.
Yeah, it just...
Cool effect.
A puddle of molten metal now.
A cool effect, but I'm like, okay, symbolism. He probably hates the fact that throne costed Mommy his life. But then he picks up Danny's body and flies off, and we never see Drogon again.
Right.
So now we fast forward in time. John's been sitting in the dungeon. Tyrion's been sitting in the dungeon. And Grey Worm brings out a whole bunch of people from the Seven Kingdoms to sit down and discuss things. I don't know what they were originally supposed to be discussing. For some reason, he brings Tyrion too.
Well, no, the people of Westeros had... they were the heads of the main houses in Westeros. They were there to decide the new king, I think. And it was a trial for Tyrion. Right. So then they decided that, you know, on the new king or queen.
And this is where Game of Thrones pissed me off the most ever. Because
it was stupid.
Because the new king is Bran.
Yep.
Bran the Broken, Brandon Stark. Now, applaud to Sansa for declaring that the North will remain an independent kingdom.
Yes, I am happy about Sansa's ending in general.
I don't care about Sansa in any way, shape, or form. She's a boring actress, and I never really cared for her character.
Oh, I think the character has the best arc in the series, particularly the fact that with the way it ends, basically this has confirmed what I've been saying for a long time. Everybody's always saying, oh, George R.R. Martin has written this innovative story that's so surprising, and it's not a story that's ever been told. That's a load of crap. George R.R. Martin wrote a story about the Starks getting justice. Literally everything else that happens, all these other characters, all these other things, red herrings. They're distractions. They had no point. Dany's arc, no point. And there was no point to that.
And it really is a Starks getting justice because now they control basically the world. Mm-hmm. Because
that's a story that's been told. If he hadn't had all the different distractions, no one would be acting like it was so innovative.
Because Bran gets the Iron Throne, what's left of the Iron Throne, and is now the ruler of the Six Kingdoms. Sansa declares the independence of the North and is now the Queen of the North.
Queen of the North. I think she earned that ending. I liked it. I was happy for her. She actually became one of my favorite characters because I thought she was one of the more complex characters.
I think the character was lost on me on the actress because the actress just... I never liked Sophie Turner as an actress. And in Game of Thrones, she felt very flat and one-dimensional to me. The way she delivered lines and the way she would stare off at things and all. And then when I saw things like X-Men Apocalypse and her portrayal of Jean Grey, and it was the exact same portrayal as Sansa Stark, it's like, yeah, you're a one-note actress, and you're not a good one-note. You know, so I think I would probably have enjoyed Sansa more if somebody else played her.
Fair.
You know, but I agree with you that she did have the more solid and fitting story arc in the series. Then we go to a story arc that didn't bother me. Arya wants to go exploring what's not been explored.
And Arya's the one I don't care about at all. I find her completely unrelatable. I find her annoying. I'm not a fan of Arya.
And then the one that really pissed me off.
Jon
Gets sent back to the Night's Watch.
Because that's the punishment that will satisfy Grey Worm and the Unsullied. And I'm really annoyed with Grey Worm because he was a good character. I liked him. He was honorable. And then after these last 2 episodes, I wanted him to die. I was like, why does he have to live? He's being a horrible, horrible person. Well, I wanted him to die.
I get it, though. He sat there and watched the love of his life be beheaded.
From an interesting perspective, I don't give a shit.
No, I
having lost someone, the love of my life, is that an excuse to do horrible things?
I agree, but I'm saying as far as the story arc's concerned, his turn to being very cold-hearted and mean made sense to me because the only person that ever cared for him that loved him, even though he was unsullied, he's a eunuch and everything else, was Missandei, and she's beheaded right in front of his eyes.
Right.
I could see the snap. His snap made more sense to me than Dany's.
Dany's snap was just... And it could have worked if they had given this season enough episodes to really let that develop over time and so that when it happened, it wasn't just, wait, what?
Right. And so Jon gets sent back to the Wall, what's left of it, to which now I'm left with the question, because when we end the episode, we have Sophie Turner, or Sansa, taking the crown and being declared the Queen of the North. We got the small council meeting with Bran, who apparently, the Three-Eyed Raven, who never wanted to do anything, all of a sudden wants to be king. That's the reason I'm here.
But no, he still did nothing. The council met. He came in. He's like, oh, well, I guess I'll go. He, like, came in for, like, a second, said a few things, and then was wheeled back out. Like, he did nothing.
Right. And you know what? I actually enjoyed the small council meeting, to be fair. I overlook it because of the fact that I was annoyed at this point. Mm-hmm. But the little meeting with the snickering between Davos and Bronn,
yeah.
and Tyrion having an OCD moment with the chairs.
Yeah. I liked it. It was funny, but it felt like cheap throwing. Okay, we're going to throw out these little ha-has now because we know the rest of this is crap.
But I will applaud one thing in that small council chamber. If anybody deserved a chance to be a maester, was Sam.
Yeah.
There was nothing more fitting. Like, I'm scratching my head at Sir Bronn being the master of coin. I really am, because if you go back to season 2, he didn't even understand the concept of money. I get money, I spend money, but what's this saving and loaning and blah, blah, blah? He didn't understand it at all. All of a sudden, he's the master of coin.
Right. And I did also like that Brienne became, like, the captain of the royal guard and everything. I liked that. Because she'd been fighting for her knighthood. She finally got it. And then not only is she knighted, but she's, like, the head of the knights. Like, that I like.
And she gave a tasteful goodbye to Jaime Lannister, too.
She did.
With writing in his epitaph
that he died saving his queen,
protecting his queen. Yeah, so that I thought that was very tasteful. But then we get to the point where we're having all the characters leave, separate from each other, and
the goodbye between the Stark kids, it evoked emotion. Like, that was like, oh, you know, but. Just it still fell flat. And then you had Jon, just after everything he did, because the Unsullied were pissed off, and then they left. So who cares? They're gone now. Tell Jon he can come back.
Well, that's the thing that pisses me off. Like, I know there's been a lot of subversion and red herring, but him being Aerion Targaryen made no difference. Didn't matter. You know, forget the fact of everything, like you said, everything Jon's done, everything Jon had continued to do. He was the one who discovered the White Walkers and stuff at, like, Hardhome. He's the one who came back from the dead. He's the one that organized the wildlings to join in with the Night's Watch to defend the wall. He is the one who organized the defense of the Seven Kingdoms from the White Walker attack, and it's fuck you, go back to the wall.
Right. The White Walkers are another massive red herring distraction thing that ultimately didn't matter worth shit. They didn't really. Like, what at the end of the day did they have to do with the end of the series? Like, they were supposed to be these big bad guys? No, they were just a big distraction. That was it.
But then we have the little, like, montage ending, where you see Arya out on a ship getting ready. You got Jon walking the wall, which evoke emotion. Jon reuniting with Ghost.
Yeah.
That was cute. That was cool. Yeah. And then, like I said, Sansa sitting down and accepting her crown and being declared the Queen of the North.
The Starks getting their happy ending, basically, except for.
But it also again, a piss off moment. The first thing Jon does is him and the wildlings pack up and leave. Yeah. They head north beyond the wall.
But I can't blame him. Screw Westeros. He literally died as part of the Night's Watch. Then he came back and almost died like 800 times defending Westeros. And then, because the Unsullied are upset, even though they're not even really part of the realm, and then they promptly left, he's still banished to the wall. Good for you, Jon. Go. Leave Westeros to deal with its own shit. It deserves it.
No, I'm fine with him leaving north.
Yeah.
What I'm not fine with is, like, okay, is he the king? Is he the king beyond the wall now? Did he replace Mance Rayder or whatever? And is he a deserter?
Right, they didn't, is he going with them to stay, or is he, like, going with them to deliver them to wherever they're going and then he's coming back? I mean, I believe he's going to stay, and you know, why wouldn't he? But, it just felt so,
Empty.
the whole thing just felt like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll go do something else now.
You know,
There was no payoff.
I think the one and I get what they were trying to go for. They wanted to have poetic ending, but I think this episode suffered from the fact that it needed one more episode to explain away everything that you showed us at the end.
Which I think the episode suffered from not enough build. The ending wasn't earned. The poeticism wasn't earned, so it fell flat. Like, they could have set everything for this last episode up throughout the course of this season, so it had a payoff, so that it was the payoff that it was supposed to be. But they didn't take the time to do it.
I agree.
They had checked out before it even started.
Well, now it leads into, let's talk about the series of Game of Thrones. Now, we've had 8 seasons, well, I call 7 seasons, of Game of Thrones that we have all been enraptured with for a good many years. 10 years, I think the show's been on.
Yeah.
Something like that, because they made
because
it way
there have been
years.
a few. Yeah, there was a few times where there was more than a year between seasons.
But we're looking at a total of 10 years that most fans have been invested in the series.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some great moments. We mentioned some, like the Red Wedding, the Purple Wedding, Hard Home, the Battle of the Bastards. Hell, I'll even say Blackwater Bay.
Yeah.
You know, some great character developments with the redemption of Jaime Lannister, the rise of Sansa, as Christen had stated out.
Right.
Even with this lackluster season and god-awful series finale, overall, how are you feeling about Game of Thrones as a whole, now that all this has happened?
For me, if they don't nail the ending, it really invalidates a lot of the struggle. It hurts the rest of it. Basically, I'm really happy that my favorite characters died well before this season. Because at least they got good endings, you know?
Right.
I mean, I think it'll still be fun to watch, but all of the horrible stuff you endure to get to this point, it's almost not worth it now. Like, you know that it's just going to be at the end. I
think I'm right there with you. Like, if I'm going to revisit Game of Thrones, which, by the way, I was doing before the final episode, I was going at it hard. Like, every night I was going through like a season of Game of Thrones, you know, because I wanted to just recap everything before, you know, the final episode. I think I would stop after season 6.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm interested in season 7, and especially not season 8, owning them or rewatching them.
Yeah.
Because that's where the train derails. Like, some people might argue season 6 was a lot of fan service, but at least it was, epic and story driven and satisfying.
Right.
You know, whether it's fan service or not, at least it was satisfying.
Season 6 was one I actually didn't love because, and it wasn't anything to do with fan service, it was because they had so many different story arcs going in so many different places that you would get like 2 or 3 lines of a conversation in each episode, and it felt like it took 3 episodes to finish a conversation because they were hopping around all the different characters, and I didn't like it because I felt like the pace was god-awful.
Right.
So I was not a fan of season 6. I liked season 7 a little bit better because I thought the pacing was better. But the earlier seasons were, in my opinion, the better ones. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it can end like the episode before the Red Wedding so that my Robb Stark doesn't have to go through that because he's my favorite character. He is. And then after that, it was Marjorie Tyrell. They're both gone, but I'm just gonna, from now on, it can just end the episode before the Red Wedding, and I'll headcanon the rest of it.
There you go. Well, let's talk about this real quick here, because this is obviously going to be a short episode. We're already wrapping up because we've given our overall opinions and all of the season and the series finale. What do you think of this petition that's going around where fans in droves, and especially after the season finale, and even bigger droves, are demanding that season 8 get remade?
I mean, I think it's a really good outlet for them to be able to say to the powers that be, hey, we're not happy. You guys should be focusing on whether or not we're happy because we're your customers. But, it's not going to happen. The sets have been torn down. The costumes have been... people are forgetting that it's not like they finished filming it and then a month later it was on TV. It's been done for a while. The actors are all moving on to different things. It's never going to happen, but I think that it's good in terms of being a statement to the powers that be. And to be perfectly honest, I hope that D&D lose their Star Wars trilogy, because what they did with the best series out there in a long time is an absolute travesty, and they don't deserve a Star Wars trilogy.
Bite your tongue. They're the ones that are going to bring us the Old Republic. If you lose them, then you pretty much lose the Old Republic. I especially
don't want I would rather not have an Old Republic than have them do it. That's how appalled I am by what they've done. They clearly can't write a story, so why would I want them to write a story about something I love?
All right, well, let me ask you this then, because you bring up an interesting concept, which doesn't necessarily have to do with Game of Thrones, but another franchise that we all here love, Star Wars. With the backlash of Rian Johnson because of Episode 8, and now the backlash because of the final season, and specifically the final episode of Game of Thrones, who do you more not want to have still make a Star Wars trilogy? Rian Johnson or Benioff and Weiss? Which one's the bigger disappointment?
Right now. D&D. I actually kind of liked parts of The Last Jedi. That was the one in which I finally decided I liked Rey. But there were flaws in it, but I liked it better. I'm in the camp that actually liked The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I like Last Jedi. There's certain aspects I would have changed personally.
There were a few weird narrative choices made, but I liked it. And the Mary Poppins moment for Leia was like, I think we didn't think this through. The idea was good. The execution, not so much.
You know what? That's exactly it. Because, the Mary Poppins moment, when Leia does that, all she did was force pull herself. That's all she did. There was nothing really spectacular. We've seen force pulling numerous times.
Right.
But the fact that she did it in space and the awkward position they had her body for pulling herself in and all, it looked to Magical World of Disney.
It was the execution that was poor, but the idea and the concept of that was good, and I support that. But you're watching it going, this is not evoking the emotion I think you were going for. It's not at all. It's kind of like, ha, 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 ha.
Right.
So, if I had to choose, I would give it to Rian Johnson. I'd be like, no, let him do it, please. Please don't let these people do it. Don't let them touch anything good ever again.
See, for the people that blast Rian Johnson, I personally look at it this way. Like, everybody loved Looper, which is like his really breakout directing movie. And I think Rian has the ability to write a good Star Wars trilogy. I do. Or direct a good Star Wars trilogy. I just think he needs to do it with characters that we're not so attached to.
I could agree with that. I think there were just a few awkward moments. I think he got more into the idea of subverting expectation. And this is a big problem in Hollywood right now, where they're so into the idea of subverting audience expectations that they're not worried about actually constructing a cohesive, well put together story, because they're like, oh, this will surprise them, but they don't put in the work to make a good surprise for the audience is one where you've put the clues in there, but you did it so skillfully that when it happens, people are still surprised, but then when they think about it, they're like, Oh my God. That's how you really do a good job with it. And they're not doing it right now. And I think he was trying to surprise people with Last Jedi and didn't do the foundation work. And you get that a lot. And I think that's right there, this final season of Game of Thrones. They wanted to surprise the audience, but they didn't put in the foundation work that needed to be there.
You're absolutely right, and I think overall, like, I still want the Benioff and Weiss trilogy because I know it's going to be Old Republic, and to their credit, again pointing out Hardhome, Blackwater Bay, Battle of the Bastards, they know how to do an epic battle sequence, which something like Old Republic would need. But I do think they're going to need somebody holding their hand to keep the story right. I think somebody get Larry Kasdan back.
Maybe just let someone else write it. Just let someone else write it, and they can do the not writing parts.
I'll agree
They can do the other stuff. Just don't let them write it, and don't let them decide the pacing, because apparently they don't know how to do that.
I'll agree with that. But, you know, since we're talking about writing in books and bad bad endings to books, George R.R. Martin, is he ever going to finish the final book? He's 70 years old. Do you think he's finally going to release this book? It's like, are we going to see it in Barnes & Noble next month, or is it just a pipe dream and this book is never coming?
I personally don't think we'll ever see it, but I can't see the future. He might outlive all of us. I do think he looks like a hobbit and a dwarf had a baby, so his lifespan may be way longer than all of ours.
That's true.
He is the love child of a hobbit and a dwarf.
Well, you know, talking about a fantasy adventure, and fantastical worlds, and coming and its series coming to the end, the one thing that I can absolutely guarantee is that Kristen Stovall will make sure that she does not put Bran the Broken on the throne at the end of her third book.
Not going to put Bran on the throne. Not doing it. I'm just going to kill everybody. Have them all go crazy and they kill each other. That's what's going to happen. And I will put no build up to it at all.
Spoilers.
Apparently that's how you do it.
Spoilers. She just ruined the book for all of us. No,
yeah. Yep.
No, she's going to give us a solid ending to her story arc, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
And
The
again,
few people who have read it have said that, yes, it's the ending that it needed to have.
Nice. And that, again, releases August 15th?
August 15th, along with hardback editions of the other two books. All three of them, really.
And if you are interested in her trilogy right now and you want to start off, right now is a perfect time to do it, because on Amazon they're having a sale for your first book at 99 cents.
All the month of June, the first book, Soulbound, will be on sale for 99 cents, the e-version, not the print version. Can't sell that for that cheap. So yeah, pick it up in June. Start the adventure.
There you go. So that way you're ready for August.
Yes.
Well, you have to buy the second book too, but I mean, you'll be ready for it.
Exactly.
Well, Kristen, why don't you go ahead and tell them where they can find you?
All right, you can find me on Facebook. The best place to get in touch with me is on the official Song of Souls Trilogy Facebook page. Just type in Song of Souls Trilogy, and it's there. You can message me that way. It's just a way I'm a little more comfortable interacting on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Christen Stovall. You can find me on Instagram, again, look up Kristen Stovall. And you can also find me on Star Wars: The Old Republic in the Starforge server, usually as Inari Sund.
I've known you for like 2 years now. Have I been mispronouncing your last name this whole time?
You say Stovall.
Stovall, and you're saying Stovall.
It's really, that's, I've heard it both ways. I think it's a regional dialect thing.
All right, I feel terrible now.
No, I wasn't considering it mispronunciation. I was just considering it a regional thing. Different areas in the country say it a different way.
It's his Philly accent. Guys, you can find me right here on Realm of the Mist Podcast, or wherever Realm of the Mist can be found, on iTunes podcasts, wherever quality podcasts are heard. And, of course, right here on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share this out. The more people you share it to, the more people get a chance to hear what we have to say.
Oh, I just remembered.
Yeah.
I also have a website.
Oh, she's got a website.
I have a website now. If you look up Kristen Stovall Books, you'll find it.
All right, I'll have to make sure that's in the description down below. Alongside the Realm of the Mist website, you can click on the link down there and visit our website where you get all the updated information of all the shows, all the podcasts, some written blogs that maybe we could possibly get Kristen to write one.
Not until the third book is out, and I'm making no promises.
We'll make her blog a short story.
Well, there will be short stories set in the same universe as my books.
You heard it here, exclusive. All right, guys, have yourself a good week, and we'll catch you on the next Realm of the Mist podcast. Have a good night, guys.
Why didn't the Three Little Pigs go in for some kind of flat share scheme?
Does Jesus get to choose which wine he turns it into?
Why don't Sims have the upper body strength to climb out of a swimming pool?
And does everybody really want to be a cat?
I'm Will Baker.
And I'm Alex Prescott.
And if you're the type of person that overthinks these deep philosophical questions, then Think to the Brink is the podcast for you.
From Disney characters to song lyrics, debates to social etiquette, tune in every week for your dose of paralysis by analysis.
All topic suggestions are welcome. If you can think it, we can overthink it. Think to the Brink. Available on all podcast platforms.
Hey everyone, this is John Tolley, inviting you to check War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Each week, me and my co-host Christopher Stolley discuss the news and theories surrounding one of the largest movie franchises in the world. So join us every Wednesday at 8 Eastern as we travel to the galaxy far, far away, right here on Anchor FM, wherever fine podcasts are heard.
You know, when you'd see vape juice slot, go to Vape Scorpion. 1911. They are known as. They have all your needs. All while you're there, sit down, enjoy a beer on your own, and just hang out with a bunch of cool people. Guys, you need your next vape or you want to try low-made juice, you hit up Vape Scorpion. That's 1085 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116. Or give a call to 215-464-8273. Oh yeah, and make sure you let them know that Realm of the Mist Entertainment sent you.
He said that she said, how dare you say that? Well, someone got to say it. Had to be also Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the recordings at any time. Guest host weekly. Listener, beware. Mature content, sexual content, trigger warning. Do you dare say it?
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm here to tell you about Realm of the Mist podcast. Realm of the Podcast, we talk about all the great things from movies, music, books, comic books, and many other forms of entertainment, as well as politics, current events, and just general and having a good time. If you're looking for a podcast that is right up your alley, look no further than Realm of the Mist podcast here on Anchor.fm or where fine podcasts can be heard.
Hi, this is Dave from the Comic Collection at 83 Bustleton Pike in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 215-357-3332. We are right next to Northeast Philadelphia. We have action figures, gaming, statues, albums, and CDs, graphic novels, other knickknacks, and, of course, comics. Established in 1985, we are your go-to store. Come by and say hello, and say that the guys from Radiocast FM Radio sent you. The address again is 83 Bustleton Pike, Feasterville, Pennsylvania, or call 215-357-3332.
Three-eyed turtle? Is that all right? I'm fucking a three-eyed turtle.
Who wants mustache ride?
Are you tired of the same old podcasts with no humor? Well, join us for After Hours, where everything is funny, at least to us, on Anchor.fm and where quality podcasts are heard.
How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
FCC started this shit. It's their fucking fault.
Hey everyone, this is Dak.
This is Liam.
And this is White People Shit.
We are a bi-weekly podcast.
Whoa. Maybe you're bi-week. I'm straight and strong.
It means twice a week, you douche.
Oh. Yeah, listen to us twice a week. On White People Wednesdays, we talk about gay stuff, zombies, superhero sex positions.
And on Featured Peep Fridays, we interview the Featured Peep of the Week.
Yeah, like a fucking...
Search WPS Podcast and look for the white dude in red pajamas.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere you podcasts.
We believe in equal opportunity humor, where all things can be made fun of. So if your feelings get hurt and you're offended, you can always
eat a dick.